Are going live. This hangout is live, and I'm waiting for the little yellow button. And sometimes there it is. Hey, internet friends, Magic Brad here, SynergyCafe. Do you have your coffee, tea, water, or your beverage of choice? It's kind of early morning, so maybe not alcoholic, but hey, if that's your deal, whatever. So I have a new guest on today, and her name is Cathy Holt. She's from Asheville area, down here in Asheville, North Carolina. And let's see if she's here. Cathy, are you there?
Hello, Brad. Good morning.
Good morning to you. Looks like you're in your office.
That's where I am.
Working. That's where I am. This is my office. It's kind of messy because we're rearranging some stuff. It is what it is. So, Cathy, the way I do this is I ask the basics of the who, what, where, when, how, and why, and we learn a little bit about you, and then what happens is this video then gets propagated up to YouTube, and then I add our relevant links and things to it about your business and such. And then I take that video and I propagate it out to the internet so people can find you and hear more about what you have to share with the world. So the first question is, who are you? Do you have a family? What do you like to do? Who's Cathy?
Off by saying that I'm excited to teach the connection practice. This is something that I've been studying and getting myself certified to teach. And but it also links back to an old passion of mine, something that I really started getting interested in back in the 1990s, which was nonviolent communication. And so yes, there is definitely a link between these two things. I'm a teacher and a coach, and communication is my specialty. And the work that I used to study with Marshall Rosenberg, the founder of nonviolent communication, and then I had created something called kind communication at one point, and that morphed into communication for connection, and then HeartSpeak.
Let me interrupt for a second. We're kind of getting into the how and what you do, but I want to know who you are. Do you have kids? Do you like horseback riding? Do you like gardening? Who's Cathy?
I do like gardening. I have lived in intentional community called Earth Haven. That's not too far from here. Lived there for a couple of years. Lived at Westwood Co-housing for a little while, and I'm definitely interested in communities. And I like to do a lot of the things that bring people to the mountains. I like to get in the water. I like to visit waterfalls, hiking, things like that.
There's a lot of waterfalls. Isn't there like 50 waterfalls around this area?
Oh yeah, so many waterfalls.
I've only been to a couple, but my friend Phil and Elise, they went all over to all sorts of them. So the next question after the who is what? So that gets into like what you were talking about, your the peace and nonviolent communication. What is it you do?
Okay, so nonviolent communication, as defined by Marshall Rosenberg, has a lot to do with expression of feelings and needs, and guessing of other people's feelings and needs, as opposed to talking in the language of judgment, evaluation, criticism, what's wrong, and all of that, which is, I think, what we all grow up with, is that we learn to communicate in terms of how we evaluate things: right, wrong, good, bad, better, worse, and it's quite an unlearning process to be able to speak in terms of my preferences, my values, and what I want or like, as opposed to, well, this isn't good enough.
Okay, so essentially what you do is you're a peace advocate and teach people how to communicate that so it doesn't create confrontation, but maybe creates more harmony and understanding?
Yes, for example, sometimes I work with couples, and very often they get to an impasse where they don't seem to be able to be heard by the other person. And so the simple process of helping people identify their feelings and their needs in a way that their partner can really hear it, and to have the partner repeat back what they've heard, that's really quite profound for many couples. They get to a level of not just hearing but understanding.
Got it. The feel, felt, found thing. So Where do you do this? Do you do this online, or do you have like an office that you do, or do you do remote like Skypes or Hangouts like this?
Well,
Where do you do
actually,
your
yes,
work?
I do work. I do work through Skype when there's a geographic issue. Um, I'm happy to work in person with people, and I do prefer that. But I am willing to work with Skype or by phone, and some of my coaching is done that way. What I'm excited about, and what's coming up very soon, right now in January, is that I offer a 3-weekend course called the Connection Practice. And this is something that I studied with a woman named Rita Marie Johnson, who had been a student herself of Marshall Rosenberg, and also who had learned something called heart math. That's actually HeartMath. And what that is it's essentially coming back to our heart as our source of um, way, insight, intuition, and guidance, and also just to help ourselves to calm down and come back to a place of non-reactivity. So
Got it.
by combining these two, I think Rita Marie Johnson has created something that's really very, very useful. It's almost like the piece that was missing from what Marshall Rosenberg offered. And so I particularly got inspired because I heard that she was introducing this to school children in Costa Rica, of all places. So that's where I went, and I studied with her. And I then helped to facilitate a 3-weekend class and did the necessary steps so that I could become a teacher myself. So
Okay.
where this is being offered is at Jubilee, which is it's a spiritual community downtown Asheville. And I'm going to be offering it on 3 separate weekends. The first weekend is January 24th and 25th.
Okay. Well, the other questions that I had for you was like, when do you do your work? I mean, do you want to speak specifically just about the event that you're doing, or do you want to talk about your work in general?
Well, I would be happy to do a little of both.
Okay, well,
And
let's get back into like on your general work. Do you have like office hours that you work, or do you work like 24/7, or on call, or how do you do it?
well, what I like to do is I like to set up a get acquainted call with a person. Let's say somebody's interested in coaching and doesn't really know enough about it. I would have a get acquainted call with that person, and that call is free of charge. And if people prefer to get together and have a cup of tea with me, I'm happy to invite them over to my home, which is also where I work from. I have a nice office space here, and be very glad to meet with people in person and explore with them, to let them know what they can expect to get out of this type of coaching.
Okay,
So
but
sometimes
before
people
we
come because they have an issue. Let's say it's a parent and child communication.
Okay, before we get into the actual event that you've got coming up, I'd like to ask my favorite question, and that is, why do you do what you do? Why are you doing this work? Why are you not a chiropractor or a massage therapist, or why are you not like working at Walmart, or why do you why are you a peace advocate?
Well, I'll say that for many years I've been a peace activist in the sort of more traditional way. You know, go on demonstrations, march in the street, carry banners, and I still believe that we need that. However, I think when you come down to it, we've been doing those peace marches for so many years, and it doesn't seem that the world has become much more peaceful. And if I look at my own life, I can very easily see the places where I go out of peace, and they usually have to do with an interpersonal conflict of some kind. Usually, it's a squabble. It's a misunderstanding. It's a place where I begin to judge the other person, and so I see that the heart of it, or in a way the root of our strife and all the warfare on the planet and all the interpersonal misery and conflict that we have comes down to people not understanding one another.
Got it.
And that we begin to judge because we don't really see people on the level of what makes them human, what makes us all human, what we all have in common, our feelings, our needs.
Exactly. You see a lot of those peace rallies, the things that aren't so peaceful, they end up throwing tear gas at each other. And it's kind of strange.
People getting righteously indignant and telling other people what they should do, all of that.
Exactly. So let's talk a little bit about your event that you got coming up. That's kind of why we're on today. So what you got going on?
Okay, well, actually tomorrow I'm offering a free event, which I'm calling a free taste of the connection practice. That's being held at the West Asheville Library, which is at 942 Haywood Road, and it will be from 7 to 9 p.m. tomorrow. So people who've never heard of the connection practice, I welcome you all to come and to learn something about what this is. People will have an opportunity to do some hands-on stuff. I'll be allowing people to. I'll be having one volunteer come up, and I'll be putting a little sensor right onto the earlobe of the volunteer, and then we'll be able to get a readout of what that person's heart rate variability is. Now you might say, well, what's that got to do with communication? But this is where we can learn how to get into synchrony with our heart, our breathing, and our mind. And it's almost as though the way we are wired is that the heart comes first. As goes the heart, so goes the nervous system, so goes the breathing, so goes our thoughts. Our brain waves are actually strongly affected by our heart rhythms. And this is some scientific research that's been done by the Institute of Heart Math in Boulder Creek, California. They have done this research for many years, and they've come up with a very simple sort of a biofeedback device, which is this thing that clips onto your ear. Then it gives you a readout that lets you know whether you're in a state of what they call low, medium, or high coherence. And the coherence between the heart and the brain is what we're talking about. So when we can do our best thinking is essentially when we're tapped into our heart's best rhythm. And when we're frustrated, our heart creates a rhythm that's really all over the place. And when you look at the graph, it's jaggedy, it's all, all chaotic looking. That's because our nervous system is very chaotic when we're frustrated.
Okay, so you're going to be doing a demonstration of this tomorrow?
So this demonstration will happen tomorrow. And we'll also be having a very simple practice of how to give ourselves empathy and how to give empathy to another person through the focusing on feelings and needs, which, as I say, are universal and which take us out of the judgmental mind.
Okay, do you have like a web page or a fan page or a Facebook event page or something for the event tomorrow then?
I do. I have my website is www.HeartSpeakPeace, HeartSpeakPeace.com. And if you want to go to the page on the connection practice, that will be very obvious once you're on the website.
Okay, I will get those links and then I'll put them in below the video here, and then we'll take this video, we'll propagate it out to the internet and share it with some of the people locally here in Asheville too. And who knows, maybe somebody from far away wants to come tomorrow and they've got a private Learjet they want to get in and land at the regional airport. You never know.
I also have a HeartSpeak page on Facebook.
Okay, you send me that link and I'll include that one also.
Sure
it's about 9:21 right now, so I don't like to do these too long because people have lives to live, and maybe they want to go get some ice cream downtown or something like I do. So this is the purpose for this video is to get people to know, like, and trust you and understand that you've got some events happening, and I will then propagate that out to the internet for you. And that's pretty much it. If you have any questions the people that are listening, you have any questions, you can connect through us through the websites and things that'll be connected with this video. So Cathy, I want to thank you for joining us today on Synergy Cafe. And peace, love, and happiness. You stay on. We'll have a little chat after, but I'm going to close this video off. So thank you very much, Cathy, for taking the time to share.
Thank you very much, Brad.
Peace, love, and happiness.